or my own preferred political party, the Christian People's Alliance. The fact of the matter is, political violence was used in a democratic election and it was not discussed or condemned by the liberal elites. There was no outrage by the fact that the MDL, the Muslim Defence League, attacked women and children with bricks and scissors in the north of England at a peaceful political rally. No condemnation whatsoever. Now do a thought experiment with me. Imagine the headlines. Imagine the furore if 60 members of the EDL attacked a Labour Party rally. Imagine how it would be plastered across our mainstream media, talking about the thugs of the EDL. And rightly so it should have been. But yet, when members of the Muslim Defence League attack women and children with bricks and scissors, it was not reported at all. Why? Ask yourself why. Why does the liberal media repeatedly censor the information that it gives to you? Why does the liberal media repeatedly telescope in on certain kinds of violence in our society, but totally ignore other kinds of violence in our society? And then notice the response of what happened when Nigel Farage, a middle-class former banker, was milkshaked. There was uproar, there was outrage, there was discussion about how this is not the political way forward and how this is not how to conduct a democracy. So, what is it that the liberal media are saying? Are they saying that those working class women and children who were who had bricks thrown at them and scissors thrown at them by a mob of the Muslim Defence League are not worthy of the same dignity and respect that Nigel Farage is, a middle-class member of the middle-class village of our elites? Make no mistake about it, he's part of the establishment. That's why he's tolerated. So Labour MPs, councillors, spokespeople from the left tried to justify attacks against Tommy Robinson and attacks against Sargon of Akkad, or whatever his name is.
Sargon of Akkad.
Sargon of Akkad, thank you very much.
Syrian Persian.
Or Carl Benjamin. And they tried to ignore bricks and scissors being thrown at women and children at a peaceful political rally. But the moment you took a milkshake on Nigel Farage, suddenly we have a problem in our democracy. Let me tell you why. Suddenly, the political elites decided that this was a problem. It was because the likes of Jeremy Corbyn realised that sooner or later they too would be going to the dry cleaners to take a milkshake off their suit. It's because the soy boys of the liberal left suddenly realised that if they legitimise violence and continue to do so, it wouldn't be long before someone said, if you can do it, I can do it too. That's why. But when the liberal media thought that no part of the liberal establishment would suffer because of a narrative of dismissing political violence in the UK when they thought that they would not suffer from it. Suddenly, they were happy to let it happen. They applauded it, they celebrated it, they turned it into a verb. They declared the people that did it as heroes. And when they couldn't declare them as heroes, they chose to ignore their violence completely. And that is why all of you learnt about the attack on Tommy Robinson's peaceful political rally in the north of England, not through the lamestream media, but through YouTube videos. And it was only then that the lamestream media decided to talk about it, and even when they did so, they lied about it. Now, I don't support whatever political narrative Tommy Robinson is standing for. I've said plainly, I support the Christian People's Alliance and a Christian political narrative. Something that the church needs to become aware of. And why must the church become aware of this?
And plus, you know,
It's because the liberal establishment have legitimised thuggish operations like Antifascista, which is nothing less than an organised group of thugs funded by the trade unions and defended by the Labour Party, who go around and justify themselves as judge, jury and executioner with no judicial process. They legitimise violence against their opponent. Now, Christians, you need to wake up. You need to wake up. The challenges that the church faces are not simply reducible to questions of theology. The challenge that we face from this hypocritical liberal establishment is a political one that is using the media and the judiciary to change the culture of our lands. They have already started to suppress freedom of speech in this country. It started off by what sounded like quite reasonable grounds of stopping racial discrimination. But that thin end of the wedge has now developed into suppressing legitimate, peaceful protests against the horrors of abortion at abortion clinics. In the UK, there are areas that are public civic property where you cannot have peaceful demonstrations because it has been decided that it is not legitimate to protest against the Holocaust at the centres where that Holocaust is being carried out. And quite recently, the British government has contemplated integrating into British law to make criminal the criticism, listen to this, of Muslimness. That's right. The British government is at this moment in time considering making criticism of Muslimness illegal. Perceived Muslimness, I've just been corrected. Now let's be clear. What the hell does that mean? Does that mean that if you criticize the Quran, you're breaking the law? Or if you object to the niqab, you're breaking the law? As Boris Johnson did when he quite derogatorily described them as looking like post boxes. Does it mean that criticism of Sharia law is going to be made illegal? Whilst you were sleeping, people of Britain, whilst you were sleeping, a nest of vipers have made their bed into every part of the power sources of our society. There are vipers in the Parliament. There are vipers in the judiciary. There are vipers in the police. And that little nest of vipers, that little village of people, are all using their power and influence to take away the freedom that your grandfather and your great-grandfather died for in 2 world wars. And you are letting them take it away from you because of your ignorance and your apathy.